I'm from Ekiti State. Mr. Nominee, can you tell this distinguished Senate how much you have recovered since you started acting as the chairman of EFCC, including dollars and other foreign currencies? B, what do you do with such recovered funds? Thank you.
We have been in the UK. My men are still on duty in UK and the US. Just primarily to trace and recover stolen assets.
Chairman, say how much have you recovered?
Sir, Your Excellency, Senate President, it is very difficult for me to give you a specific figure.
Welcome back to latest briefs. Today on the headlines, Magu failed to submit EFCC audited accounts for 4 years. An annual report not submitted to National Assembly in 4 years contrary to law. Raibadu, Farida, Lamode in full compliance. SAN seeks bail for suspended anti-corruption chief. The suspended chairman of EFCC, Mr. Ibrahim Magu, failed to submit the audited account of the anti-graft agency to the National Assembly as required by law. This day learnt at the weekend as critics say he took advantage of the non-confirmation of his appointment by the Senate to avoid accountability leading to his current woes. By Section 37 of the Establishment Act of EFCC, Act 2004, the Commission is required to submit its reports, including its audited account, to the National Assembly every year. It states, the Commission shall not later than 30th September in each year submit to the National Assembly a report of its activities during the immediately preceding year and shall include in such report the audited account of the Commission. Despite the refusal of the 8th Senate to confirm his appointment, first in December 2016 and later in March 2017, the agency was still required by law to submit its annual account as done by Magu's predecessors. Malam Nuhu Raibadu, Mrs. Farida Waziri, and Mr. Ibrahim Lamode in compliance with the Establishment Act. Critics say the insistence of the presidency in keeping Ibrahim Magu in office in an acting capacity despite non-confirmation may have stalled accountability and oversight of the Commission, even as the National Assembly approved the agency's budget every year. This face-off with the Senate enabled Magu to operate the way he did without any scrutiny, a development that negated the practice of the Commissioner under his predecessors. Raibadu, Ibrahim and Lamode, who complied with the provisions of the law by submitting their annual reports and audited accounts to the National Assembly. Analysts told this day at the weekend that the kind of financial fraud Magu is being accused of could only occur in an unsupervised organization, adding that had the EFCC put itself through the process of an independent audit, a number of the issues Magu is now being accused of might have been resolved. The Senate had in December 2016 rejected Magu's nomination as chairman of the Commission on the strength of damning security reports by the State Security Service (SSS), which declared him unfit for public office, saying his credibility could not be guaranteed. Rather than withdraw Magu's nomination, the presidency represented him in March 2017. Again, the Senate refused confirmation and resolved not to consider him again for the position. The presidency responded by maintaining him in an acting capacity, arguing that it did not require Senate approval for Magu's appointment, since the Establishment Act requiring legislative approval was in conflict with the power of the president to make executive appointments under the Constitution. With the Senate resolving not to have any dealing with Magu, the Commission became unable to present its annual report to the National Assembly. Analysts said, had the reports been filed, all of these issues that are being raised now would probably have been detected by the National Assembly. With this kind of situation, said one analyst, Magu would appear to have operated without supervision by either the National Assembly or the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, as the minister's petition accusing him of insubordination has suggested. According to another analyst, this absence of legislative oversight would have been avoided if the presidency did not insist on having Magu as the boss of the anti-corruption agency. Magu was accosted last Monday and taken before a presidential panel of inquiry led by Justice Ayo Salami, investigating allegations of corruption and insubordination brought against him by his supervising minister, Mr. Abubakar Malami. Aggrieved staff leaked information to AGF's office. This day also gathered at the weekend that disgruntled members of staff of the commission have been fingered as leaking vital information about Magu's activities to the office of the AGF's office, paving the way of his ongoing probe by a presidential panel. Magu is answering questions on the 21-point allegation of financial impropriety and fund diversion leveled against him by Malami. The panel widened the probe last Thursday as it quizzed the Commission Secretary, Mr. Olanipekun Olukoyede, and other directors of the Commission. This day learned that the panel summoned the top management officers from the Commission to narrate all they knew about the allegations against their boss. At the end of their conversation, the panel was said to have directed the directors and sectional heads in the EFCC to produce files of cases handled since 2015, including fortified assets, register and all cash releases within 7 days. However, some EFCC officials told This Day at the weekend that many of them were disgruntled with Magu's stewardship and accused him of high-handedness and neglecting staff welfare. They said there was a point Magu owed a backlog of salaries and allowances, adding that they had it tough under his leadership. Magu was said to have worked with a few investigators and operatives called Magu Boys to the detriment and envy of others, triggering a black cash in the form of leakages of official documents and files. At the time, workers were owed 5-month arrears of salaries and allowances, and they threatened to take the matter to a popular radio talk show, Bekrete Family, aired by Human Rights Radio, to express their grievances and call on management to clear the arrears of salaries and allowances, a source told This Day. It was learned that the threat led the EFCC management to intervene after giving several excuses that the agency's money was held up somewhere. At a point, we were owed 5 months arrears of salaries and allowances. We could not feed our family and do basic things. We were organized and threatened to go to Berekete Family radio show. We gave them an ultimatum, which they could not meet, but at the dying minute, they called to say they have found money to pay. Another source who spoke anonymously said he added that the workers queried the position by the management that they found money to pay. He said, "Why do you have to owe for 5 months and now have to find money to pay? This is a government agency, an important security agency at that, where were the arrears kept that you had to look for it for 5 months?" These days gathered that investigators who worked closely with Magu were allegedly accorded special treatment which brewed bad blood that eventually led to this internal sabotage. When contacted by this day's spokesman of the commission, Mr. Dele Ojewale declined to comment on the matter. SAN seeks bail for suspended anti-corruption chief. Meanwhile, a senior advocate of Nigeria, Mr. Tayo Oyetibo, has called on the federal government to either charge Magu to a court or release him on bail. He said the continued incarceration of the suspended head of EFCC was a violation of Section 35 of the Constitution. Oyetibo said though the EFCC under Magu was guilty of unlawful detention of Nigerians, the law of karma had no place in the Constitution. In the statement titled, "Magu Still Has Rights," Oyetibo said despite the allegations against him, Magu had not lost his constitutional rights. On Monday, July 6, 2020, it was widely reported that the now suspended acting chairman of EFCC, Ibrahim Magu, was arrested and taken before Justice Ayo Salami-led panel of inquiry set up by the president to investigate a number of allegations raised against him. As of today, Magu is reported to still be in detention whilst the investigation of the allegations made against him continues. Although the allegations made against Magu are said to be documented and border on the serious economic crimes and abuse of office, that does not mean that he has lost his constitutional rights. Amidst the cacophony of allegations of serious crimes made against Magu, the law of Nigeria still speaks the same language, which is expressed in Section 35 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, which provides to the effect that every person who is arrested or detained upon reasonable suspicion of his having committed a criminal offence shall be brought before a court of law within a period of 24 hours. In the case of an arrest in a place where there is a court of competent jurisdiction within a radius of 40 kilometers, otherwise he ought to be released on bail, he stated. He added that since there is a court of competent jurisdiction within a radius of 40 kilometers within Abuja, where Magu was arrested, he should be taken before the court. While it may be argued that the EFCC, which Magu headed, was notorious for ignoring his constitutional provision in relation to citizens who were arrested under him, the law of karma has no place under our constitutionalism. For these reasons, Magu ought to be released on bail forthwith, as otherwise the government will be acting excessively in breach of his rights, he added. Global coalition writes Buhari over anti-corruption fight. In a related development, global groups working against sleaze have said the unceremonious exit of Magu may erode the recent gains in the fight against corruption. World-acclaimed anti-corruption groups Recommon Global Witness, The Corner House, based in Europe, said Nigeria has regained unprecedented gains under Magu's leadership of EFCC, and that his removal under the current circumstances may roll back the momentous gains already recorded under his tenure. Common Stop official Mr. Lucas Mains, Corner House's Nicholas Hildyard, and Simon Taylor of Global Witness, in a letter to President Muhammadu Buhari last week, expressed deep concern over the travails of Magu, saying that the former EFCC boss may be a pawn in the desperate attempt by corrupt officials to kill the EFCC or turn the agency into a willing tool of corrupt politicians. The letter was signed by Mains, Hildyard, Taylor, and other Nigerian counterparts. Human and Environmental Development Agenda (HEDA) Resource Center Chairman Mr. Olanrewaju Suraju. What is going on in Nigeria is of concern to the international community. Mr. Magu has proved himself to be up to the task. His determination to fight corruption is evident by the recovery of stolen funds and properties, plus his own high moral ground earned at the cost of diligence and hard work never before seen. His political removal questions the will of Nigeria to deal with major cause of the country's underdevelopment, which is corruption. The group said in a letter delivered to the Nigerian president, some of the group's most significant contributions to Nigeria's anti-graft efforts are the historic exposure of Nigeria's top oil companies linked to large-scale corruption, their ongoing trial in Italy and other European courts. The coalition said, "We are therefore greatly alarmed, as are others in the international anti-corruption movement, by reports that Magu has been detained or suspended following the allegations against him that were reportedly made by Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Mr. Abubakar Malami, directly to you." They say the international community is not supposed to be investigated by Magu, or Magu is not supposed to be investigated, since all allegation of corruption must be thoroughly probed, but rather that due process and the proper disciplinary procedures has not been followed. So we have some comments on there. So people are saying endless expository tale of Nigeria's current indigenous hush puppy. Now here we dey, truly we shall see as this matter will take end. So someone said some tribes are looking like beggars, but them get our national billions of their personal shopping. So we have another comment here. Why such adrenaline rush? What were the motives behind such hunger? So someone said this is the same man the presidency wants to sell a dummy to Nigerians that were withheld his presentation for Senate confirmation because he's been investigated for corruption since 2015. Meanwhile, the equally clueless rubber-stamped NASS under Ahmed Lawan has continued to release the budgetary provisions of the EFCC without budget defense, scrutiny or monitoring, and they said they are fighting corruption. We have a comment. I'll read the last comment before I go finally. So someone said here, my last comment, in a same crime, Buhari would have been served with notice of impeachment by the Senate because of his nepotism, and the process bastardized our institutions. The Senate, under the leadership of Saraki, twice rejected Magu's nomination as EFCC chairman, but our Baba Goslo left him in office as acting chairman for 5 years unchecked. Well, I don't have any hope in the present rubber-stamp National Assembly led by Tinubu's stooges. Buhari and APC is a scam. No, there's little hope to fight against corruption since the appointment of the new COS Gambari. The recent onslaught on Magu, Oshimole and NDDC speaks volume. Let us hope for the best. So tell us what you think about this. Drop your comments, what you really think about what they have to say about Magu, and also like the channel. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Have a nice day.